Hey guys, this is Justin, and I have a great episode in store for you today. Do you know what a limiting belief is? If not, you need to tune in. We all have limiting beliefs, and if you're in real estate, I'm going to give you 5 ways to overcome your limiting beliefs and take your real estate business to the next level. Make sure you tune in. You don't want to miss it. What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Justin Ford Podcast, where I'll be releasing life-changing principles and valuable information focused on all things faith, finance, family, fitness, real estate, and so much more. Let's go! What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Justin Ford Podcast. Super excited to be with you here again today, and I hope you've been doing great since the last episode. Do me a favor, go ahead and hit the subscribe button here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. And if you're really enjoying our show, do me a favor, go ahead and leave us a 5-star review on any of the different platforms. We'd love to hear back from you. If you haven't followed me yet and you want to connect, you can on social media at The Official Justin Ford. Again, at The Official Justin Ford. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, X, and also here on YouTube. Got a great episode in store for you today. But before we get into that, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is a team of professionals that believe everyone should be treated as if they live next door. The founders and team members have more than 150 years of combined loan experience, helping clients all over the country choose the best loan program to help you accomplish your goals. Nextdoor Lending is currently licensed in over 26 states and has a team of over 100 loan officers specializing in helping you get the best rate and terms. And so whether you're looking to refinance your home or you're looking to purchase your next home, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. You know, one of the things that I've learned over the years that has really held people back from being successful, not just in business, but in life, is what we call limiting beliefs. And we all have limiting beliefs. And I want to give you the definition of what limiting beliefs are. Limiting beliefs are negative thoughts, assumptions, or perceptions that restrict your potential, capabilities, or opportunities. These are mental roadblocks or barriers that you create based on past experiences, social conditioning, or fear or failure. They often appear as negative self-talk or deeply held convictions that prevent you from achieving your goals. And some of the common examples of limiting beliefs might be, I'm not good enough to succeed. I always fail at relationships. I don't have enough experience to start a business. Money is hard to earn and never lasts. And I'm too old or too young to make a difference. And so, again, we all have limiting beliefs. And I want to share with you, especially if you're a real estate agent, some limiting beliefs that I had, but how I was able to overcome them. I got into the real estate business back in 2013. And in 2013, I came from a lower income upbringing. You know, I lived with my mom and my stepdad until I was 12. When they got a divorce, I moved with my dad. You know, we never, had a lot of money. We never had a lot of, nice things. We never had like all these great experiences from a, vacation standpoint. I mean, we used to vacation and our vacations in the summer were going to the campground. Now, going to the campground was fun. I didn't know any different. However, now that I'm older, I realize that we didn't have a lot of money to go to all these great vacations. I think we went to Florida one time and I was like 2 or 3 years old. And so I wasn't raised in a financially, well-off upbringing. And so when I was the kid like in high school where everybody was wearing Tommy Hilfiger and Abercrombie and Fitch and all these really nice brands. And, my dad would take me to Kmart, right, for my summer or school clothes shopping. And again, not complaining about that. I was grateful that I even have that because I know some people don't even have that. But I'm really just trying to make a point on what I'm about to say. And so as I got older, I had this background and this connection to this certain lifestyle or financial setting. And as I got into real estate, I realized that when I started to prospect and I would set appointments, that I was very comfortable in like a certain price point. So calling, let's say $50,000 transaction or leads or people 50,000, 100,000, 150,000, 200,000. But once it hit 300 plus, and again, this was when I got into real estate, was 2013. So we're talking 12 years ago, when 300 plus in Metro Detroit was actually considered, and I don't want to say luxury, but more higher end, because the average price for a home sale in 2013 in Detroit or the Metro Detroit area was like 200,000. Now I think it's up above 300. But I remember feeling a certain way, feeling intimidated by those higher price points, by those, bigger listing opportunities. And, in real estate, when you get paid a certain commission, let's just use 3% on the listing side as an example. If you're getting 3% of 150,000 or 3% of $1 million, which one would you rather work? Well, of course, you'd rather work the $1 million listing, because you're going to get paid more. And I knew that, I wanted the higher price point listings. I just really felt uncomfortable to pursue those. And I didn't understand that I had limiting beliefs around higher price points, or that higher financial lifestyle. And in my first year in real estate, I sold 100 homes, and my average sales price was like 115,000. That's very low. However, I'm grateful for it, because if you still take 115,000 times it by on average 3%, it's a pretty good, outcome. However, when I look back at those time periods, I knew I wanted to work my way up. I knew I wanted to go to the higher price points. And so today I want to share with you what I've been able to do to get there. So if you're a real estate agent, or maybe you're in another line of business, or whatever, maybe you can just relate to what I'm saying with limiting beliefs in your field or your profession. In the last 2 months, I've taken, I think, 6 or 7 listings at $1 million or more. Last week, I just closed my biggest transaction at 1.4 million. I've got another 1.2 on the market right now. I've got another, 1.2 coming up. I've got a $2 million listing coming up. And then I've got another $1 million listing coming up. And, when I look back at how I got here, I want to share with you how I was able to overcome my limiting beliefs to go to a new place. And so maybe when you're looking at your real estate business or just life in general, and there's this new level or next level you want to go, but you're intimidated by it, you feel uncomfortable, you almost feel like you don't belong. It's okay to feel that way, because you can overcome that and move your way up to that. And so I want to give you 5 ways to overcome limiting beliefs and work your way to a higher price point in real estate. Okay. And so these are things that I did. And so, I'll tell you first off the bat, number 1 was you just have to move through being uncomfortable. You just have to move through being uncomfortable, and you have to really educate yourself on that higher end market, right? So if you want to move into, for instance, let's say you want to move more into the higher end luxury. And again, in Michigan, in my area, luxury is considered, $700,000 plus, $800,000 plus, $1 million plus. Whereas if you're listening and you're in Southern California or you're in New York City, I mean, these are very low prices compared to where you're at. And so your market, wherever you are, may be a different price point. So regardless of what your price point is, and regardless of where you want to take it, these can apply to you. Number 1 is you got to work your way through the uncomfortability and educate yourself on that higher end market. Study market trends, right? For instance, when I got into real estate, I lived in a city called Allen Park. Great downriver community. Love downriver. It's where I grew up. It's where I was born. Average home sale price down there, probably right now, a couple $100,000. And I remember we moved to a town called Plymouth. And Plymouth is actually considered one of the higher end communities in Metro Detroit. But we didn't just move into like a higher end house. We moved into a trailer park in Plymouth. That's how we got there. And although I lived in a trailer park, which is the lowest place you could really enter into Plymouth, it brought me into the community of being in a more affluent neighborhood, higher price point, different way of living, for me to now get comfortable in this new place. And what I began to do was study the market, learn the market, adapt to that local market around me. And it really helped me to get a better understanding on, okay, these are just people like anywhere else. However, there's a different way of living here. There's a different way of, let's say, doing things. There's a different price point. And so I needed to educate myself on that local market. Another thing that you can do through educating yourself on a higher end market is to take luxury real estate courses, or courses that are that help you get more familiar with the lingo, the fixtures, the different things that are going to be maybe in higher end properties. And then also another one is to go attend open houses and tour higher end properties, luxury properties. Go start walking through those. Go start getting comfortable in those, so that when you begin to connect with higher end clients or in that price point that you want to be in, you don't feel out of place. You don't feel uncomfortable. Matter of fact, you've been here before, right? You've gone through some of these homes. You've learned some of these things in advance. And so educating yourself on the market that you want to be in is super important. Number 2 of the 5 ways to overcome limiting beliefs and work your way to a higher price point in real estate is develop a wealth mindset. See, the good news is no matter how you were raised, no matter what you learned, no matter what your background is, we can educate ourselves out of that. Again, nothing to say, that it's bad of where we came from or how we were raised. But if you stay there, that's your choice. Or you can overcome it and find your way in a new place. For instance, I grew up in a specific area with a specific mindset, with a specific understanding about money, market, finances, things like that. And 20 plus years later, I look back and I see so many of the people that I grew up with still there. And I've outgrown that. And again, not a negative to them, but I chose to outgrow it. I chose to have a different mindset. I chose to live in a different area. I chose to, take my business, my success to a new place and not just stay in that norm, because a lot of times we adapt to the way that we were raised, the way that we learned, our financial situation, and we just stay there because it's comfortable and it's all we know. Going back to number 1 is we have to push our way through being uncomfortable to get to a new place, okay? So if number two is develop a wealth mindset, meaning affirm your value. Remind yourself that your skills, knowledge, and commitment to client service are valuable at any price point. Visualize your success. This is key. Picture yourself confidently presenting to high-end clients, negotiating luxury deals, and receiving substantial commissions. I remember when I was first in real estate at my first office, average sales price $115, still living in Allen Park. I had a vision board on my wall, and my vision board was I wanted to live in Plymouth. I wanted to have a big house with, 4 bedrooms. And I put it on there. There was a picture. And it always stayed before me because that's what I was shooting for. I wanted to drive a nice car. I wanted a black car with chrome rims, a luxury car. I wanted to put my kids through, private school and then pay for their college. I wanted to go on a 10-year anniversary, tropical vacation for Joy and I. And I put all of this on my vision board. And I remember I was cleaning out the garage not too long ago, and folded up was that old vision board. And what was amazing was pretty much 90% of everything on that vision board I accomplished. Joy and I bought that, really nice home in Plymouth with, we've got 5 bedrooms, and it was, pretty much exactly what I was looking for. And it was on my board. I drive a nice vehicle. I was able to put my kids through private school and pay for their college now. It was all in front of me. Why? Because if I was going to reach this place of success that I wanted to be, I had to first visualize it. Picture yourself confidently presenting to these clients. Picture yourself in that lifestyle. Picture yourself going to that next level. And then here's another one. Surround yourself with successful people and people that are in that financial place. Network with top performing agents, network with people of higher status and finances that are in that area. You know, it's interesting. I used to feel super intimidated by it. Now, you know, I have many friends that are around me that are multi-millionaires, know a billionaire. Now, not that I don't in other places, but now I feel more comfortable in this setting because this is where I belong. Not that I don't relate to, you know, people who aren't there, because that's where I come from. And I'll never forget where I came from and still do a lot of, like, I don't discriminate on even transactions. I just took a $60,000 listing the other day. So it's not like you know, and some people do. Some people just stay in one place. I can relate to all people because for me, it's about relationship and not a commission check. However, but now that I'm at this new place, I feel like I belong now, whereas before I didn't. So you have to surround yourself with success and people and even the places that you want to be. Number 3 of the 5 ways to overcome limiting beliefs and work your way to a higher price point in real estate. Number 3 is enhance your professional image. Upgrade your branding, dress for success, refine your communication skills. There is a different level of communication with people who are more affluent. They speak different, they talk different, they do things different. Dress for success, meaning dress for what you want, not for what you have. If you want to get yourself into this higher place, this more affluent place, then you're going to have to relate to them. You know, the reason why I purchased a Cadillac when I purchased a Cadillac was a Cadillac, you know, you can pull up to any price point and everybody's going to appreciate a Cadillac. You can pull up to $1 million home and they're going to be like, you know what? That guy's doing something right. You could pull up to a $100,000 house and you're going to be like, you know what? That guy's doing something right. Even a Cadillac, because it's an American name made car, people aren't going to feel intimidated by it. Whereas if you have let's say, and there's nothing wrong with like a Mercedes or, you know, some of these higher end cars, if you pull up in a Mercedes or a BMW or some of these higher end cars to, let's say, $100,000 listing, they're going to feel like maybe you're too good for them. So in order for me to really raise the bar, I knew that if I was going to begin to go after the higher listings, that I needed a nice car. Because when you pull up to, let's say, a lower end listing, they don't care what kind of car you have, but they do care what you drive when you pull up. So if I'm going to go up to $1 million house and I pull up in a hoopty, they're not going to think I'm the guy that's qualified, because people do judge us based on our appearance. And so when I pull up to a listing appointment, my Cadillac is clean. I get a car wash every day. And you know what I do? I never park in the driveway because that's what I was taught. And I always park in front of their door. So they can, like, when they open that door, my Cadillac is parked right in the street in front of their door, so they can see this, you know, clean black Cadillac with these really nice chrome rims. And they're going to be like, you know what? Okay. Because people judge us based on our appearance. And so if you're going to raise the bar, then you might want to, you know, get into a vehicle. And I'm not saying to go, you know, put yourself in a debt situation. But I remember when I bought a used Lincoln, you know, 5-year-old Lincoln, used Lincoln, so that I could raise the bar when pulling up to houses. And again, you want to dress for success, okay? Now, number 4 of the 5 ways to overcome limiting beliefs and work your way to a higher price point is leverage social proof and testimonials. Once you get one person that you've worked with, then you want to highlight that. Highlight any high-value sales you've closed, even if they aren't in that specific range. Make sure you're obtaining testimonials from satisfied clients, and really collaborate with other luxury experts, meaning co-list or partner with established luxury agents to gain experience and exposure. You know, or let's just say you want to be a luxury agent, but your team or brokerage doesn't really have that available. You might need to switch your team or brokerage and go join a team or a brokerage that works more in the higher end pricing, so that you can adapt to it, get familiar with it, and prepare to become that. And then number 5, proactively seek out high-end clients. Target high income areas. You can do that through prospecting. You can do that through door knocking. You can do that through mailers. You can also do that by maybe you join a country club in an area that you want to be in, or maybe you join a yacht club, or maybe you go play tennis where people play tennis and they are more of that affluent area or price point that you want to be in. The other one, refine your lead generation strategy. Use specific marketing tactics such as luxury home ads, direct mail. Create a brand that looks like what you want to target, okay? And then build strategic relationships. Network with professionals who serve high net worth clients, such as financial advisors, wealth managers, and estate planners. So the $1.4 million listing that I closed last week came from a previous $1 million client. I sold his home for, $800,000. We bought a home for over $1 million. He's a wealth strategist person, and he referred me as client. And guess what? I got the job done for her, and now she's already given my name to somebody else. And so what happens, especially in that higher price point, once you do good for somebody, that door begins to open and you start to get referrals, okay? So let me repeat these 5, and then I've got a bonus one for you. Number 1 is educate yourself on the high-end market. Number 2 is develop a wealth mindset. Number 3, enhance your professional image. Make sure that you match where you're wanting to go. Number 4, leverage social proof and testimonials. And number 5, proactively seek high-end clients. And then number 6, which is a bonus tip, you've really got to have the right mindset, okay? Remember that high-end clients are just people looking for expert guidance and exceptional service. They're not beyond your reach, and your skills are valuable regardless of the price point of the property. And this is one way that I was able to do it, and I just mentioned it a little earlier, is I moved into the community. And I moved into the lower end community. And when I would tell people, it's so funny, when I would tell people, they'd say, where do you live? I said, I live in Plymouth. Oh, really? What subdivision? I would say Plymouth Hills. Have you ever heard of it? No, I haven't heard of it. Well, they didn't hear of it because it was a trailer park, off in the corner of Plymouth, but I still lived there. I had an address in Plymouth. And because of that, I was able to begin learning the area, getting connected to people in the area. I have a former NHL hockey player, Chris Osgood, lives down the street. Aiden Hutchinson, lives down the street. We see him in town all the time, run into Chris Osgood. There's very wealthy and successful people in our community. And so over time, I embraced it to where this is my community. I belong here. And we moved from a trailer park into a rental home that was a really nice home, and then eventually bought a home in the neighborhood we wanted to be in. And what my wife and I and kids used to do is we used to drive the neighborhoods. When we lived in the trailer park, we'd drive the neighborhoods in the community, and we would envision ourselves living there. We would envision ourselves being there. We would envision ourselves selling homes there. And you know what's interesting? The $1.4 million home I just sold was in my community right down the street. I got another $700,000 house. I got another house coming up. I'm here now and I belong here. And you know what? It all started with envisioning myself there, pushing through the limiting beliefs, pushing out, through the being uncomfortable. And now, again, $6 million plus listings that I'm working, and it doesn't feel intimidating anymore. It feels exactly like it's supposed to, because this is where I belong. And so I hope this encouraged you today, because we all have limiting beliefs. And if you're not in real estate and you've listened to this episode, apply it to another area of your life. You belong where you want to go. There's just going to be some steps that you need to take to get there. And you have to push yourself out of your comfort zone. Most people would rather stay comfortable in a place where it's all they know and where they feel comfortable, versus moving through it to get to the other side, to get to where you ultimately want to go. And so if you feel like this episode, encouraged you, helped you, and you think it could help somebody else, feel free to share it. Feel free to send it to somebody else. Again, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, you can subscribe here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. If you ever need anything, shoot me a DM, shoot me a message. I'd be happy to connect with you. I do free 15-minute coaching sessions. We're also growing and expanding our real estate team here in Metro Detroit. And so if you're a real estate agent or someone that's looking to get into real estate, feel free to reach out to me. We're always looking for new agents to help us grow and expand. If you're an agent somewhere outside of Metro Detroit in another state, we have an EXP group called the Legacy Network. We have about 200 agents in our group, and we're growing and expanding all over the country. If you're listening outside of the United States, we actually are in 26 countries at EXP. And so feel free to reach out, shoot me a DM, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, connect with me here on YouTube or your favorite podcast platform. Reach out. You can email me, Justin at justinfordteam.com. And I'd love to connect with you and help you in any way that I can. But before we wrap up today's episode, I do want to remind you that this episode is brought to you by my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. Nextdoor Lending is not just a sponsor of the show. They're our preferred lender at the Justin Ford Real Estate Team. We entrust all of our buyers with Nextdoor Lending. They have a perfect A+ Better Business Bureau rating. They have over 1,000 5-star reviews. And so if you're a buyer looking to get pre-approved and purchase a home this year, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. If you're a seller looking to take some cash out or refinance, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending. And if you're a real estate agent like me looking for a great lender partner, call my friends over at Nextdoor Lending today at 888-885-3667 or visit their website at nextdoorlending.com. 2 things I always like to leave you with. Number 1, it's not how you start. What matters is how you finish. And number 2, with God, all things are possible. God bless you guys. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next one.